Alright guys, so I'm putting the warning out here right now in the beginning of the video. Do not leave the theater after the end of the first post-credit scene. Because trust me, you're going to regret it. There are two post-credit scenes in this movie. Literally, my whole entire audience left, and I was one of the only people left in there waiting till the very end. And it all paid off because I got to see the second post-credit scene. So guys, do not make the same mistake. Do not underestimate Marvel. And stay for both post-credit scenes. Anyway guys, with that being said, what's up? It's Autobot Mike 18 here guys with another movie review. In this video guys, I will be reviewing Thor the Dark World. Now Thor the Dark World is the sequel to Thor, which came out in 2011. And it also serves as a sequel to the Avengers. Now guys, with the first Thor, I liked it. It's not my favorite film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I did enjoy it though. The story was cool, the cast was great. I liked all these characters and all. It was obviously original, but I had two big problems with the movie that I wanted to be addressed in the sequel. And my two big problems were, I wanted to see more of Asgard, and I wanted to see some more action. There wasn't enough action for me in the first Thor, but overall it had a good story. And meanwhile, when I heard Thor the Dark World was coming out, I got excited for it. This is probably one of my most high anticipated films of the year because I'm a big superhero nerd. And I was looking forward to Thor the Dark World, especially with the trailer and all, and I wanted those two improvements to be made. And overall, guys, what did I think of Thor the Dark World? Well, you know what? Surprisingly, I was pleasantly surprised with this movie. I really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun watching it. And now I'm torn. I don't know what's better. I don't know if Thor the Dark World is better or Thor is better. I don't know which one to pick. But anyway, guys, I have to settle that dilemma soon. So yeah, guys, let's get into the actual review now. The first thing I'm going to start talking about in regards to the movie is the story. Do not worry, guys. I will not spoil anything. I'm not going to give anything away. I don't spoil. And then I'll give some of my feelings a little bit later towards the end of the video. But anyway, guys, as for the story, Thor the Dark World literally takes place right after the Avengers. As we all know, Thor brought Loki back to Asgard. And in the beginning of Thor the Dark World, in one of the opening scenes, Loki is brought before Odin. He's in shackles, he's in chains, and Odin is absolutely disgusted with him. As we all know, Loki just unleashed that whole army of Chitauri on New York City. He was obviously defeated by the Avengers, and Odin is disgusted with him. He sentences him to imprisonment, throws him in the dungeons. Meanwhile, Thor is going around with his best friends. They're going to each of the 9 realms, and they're stopping all the fights and the violence. They're trying to promote peace. And all that violence and all the uprisings and all that started happening right when the Bifrost was destroyed in the end of the first film. So Thor is trying to do all of that. Meanwhile, he obviously feels depressed. You know, he's upset that he hasn't seen Jane in 2 years. And he constantly goes to Heimdall and he's asking him how's she doing, because Heimdall can see her. And you can tell he definitely wants to see Jane again. Meanwhile, Jane herself is obviously missing Thor. She is whenever something crazy happens, involving astrophysics or anything like that, she literally goes to that part of the world and she just wants to see Thor again. So she literally goes to London. She's in London in the beginning of this film, and there's something crazy happening in London that I don't want to spoil. And finally, guys, there is one other story, there's one other plot point I do want to mention, and it involves our main antagonist. Our new main antagonist goes by the name of Malekith. He's this crazy-looking guy in the poster. He's a Dark Elf, and he has a whole army of Dark Elves. And they have a pretty messed up plan that involves them taking over the whole universe and unleashing darkness all over the place. That's why the title's called Thor the Dark World. And when their plan crosses paths with Jane, when they cross paths with Jane, Thor steps in and he has to stop these Dark Elves from unleashing their plan to unleash darkness all over the whole universe. So that's all I'm going to say, guys, in regards to Thor the Dark World. Overall, guys, I was pretty impressed with the story this time around. As I said, I liked the story for the first Thor, but this time I was really, really surprised with how good the story was, how many twists and turns there were throughout the movie, especially involving Loki's character, which I'll get into. I was really impressed with how well written it was. They definitely upped the humor in the movie, which is another thing I noticed. This movie was very funny, had a lot of fun, enjoyable moments, and overall, the writing was very good for Thor the Dark World. Now, Alan Taylor directed Thor the Dark World, and Kenneth Branagh directed the first one, so we do have a new director for this movie, and I thought Alan Taylor did a pretty good job. Now, guys, real quickly, I do want to talk about some of the cast, of course. The movie has a crazy cast, including Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, Natalie Portman, Anthony Hopkins, Kat Dennings, Jamie Alexander, Christopher Eccleston. I don't know how to say his name. I don't know if I said Jamie Alexander. I mean, this movie has a great cast. Idris Elba. And, obviously the two standout actors, and this has been the same for the first Thor. The two standout actors are Chris Hemsworth as Thor and Tom Hiddleston as Loki, of course. They both give amazing performances, as always. Anthony Hopkins, too, of course, is great as Odin. But, real quick, I want to talk about Loki for a second. Oh my goodness, Tom Hiddleston kills it as Loki. He always does. He owns that character, and he just plays such a menacing, villainous guy. And we kind of see less of that side of Loki in this movie, because he's kind of... he's kind of damaged. There's something big that happens in this movie that kind of damages him. But he was damaged from the end of the first Avengers. He lost. And he was brought back to Asgard. Now he's in the dungeons. And I just love Loki. I just love watching Loki all the time. He's just so awesome. I probably enjoyed seeing him the most in Thor: The Dark World. I mean, I enjoyed him in the Avengers, of course, and the first Thor. But seeing him in this movie, it was just so fun. All the tricks he pulled. There were so many scenes involving Loki. I was just like this. I can't believe this just happened. I mean, that was so cool, and that's what I gotta praise the writing for that. They were so creative with this Thor, and with what they had Loki do in the movie, and that was awesome. Anyway, guys, of course, Chris Hemsworth kills it as Thor again. I mean, he just does such a great job as Thor. I really have nothing else to say. It's Chris Hemsworth as Thor. You've seen him in the first two. He, of course, does a great job in this one. And the supporting cast, of course, they do great as well. Anthony Hopkins as Odin is great. Natalie Portman is good as Jane. Kat Dennings is good. Oh my god. Stellan Skarsgård as Dr. Eric Selvig. He was so funny in this movie. Literally every scene he was in, I could not stop laughing. The Stan Lee cameo in this movie was hilarious. It involved Dr. Selvig, and that was great. Idris Elba was good in the movie. The whole cast was really good, but obviously the two leads that impressed me are the two leads themselves, Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston. Anyway, guys, moving on. Thor: The Dark World is rated PG-13. Appropriately rated. I mean, there was a guy who brought literally his 5-year-old daughter in to watch the movie, so kids can watch it. I mean, of course, there's language in it. There's violence. They definitely up the action, so do beware of that, parents. But I would still recommend kids go see it. They would definitely enjoy it. They'll be wowed by the action sequences, as was I. And that's definitely one of the best parts of Thor: The Dark World. So yeah, Thor: The Dark World, rated PG-13. Anyway, guys, moving on. I think it's time for me to give my rating, my personal rating for the film. I really enjoyed it, guys. I had a lot of fun watching it. I was impressed with it. I'm so torn whether I like Thor: The Dark World or the first Thor better or not. I don't know. So guys, in the end, Thor: The Dark World, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's one of my favorite superhero movies of the year. Of course, we've had a lot of good superhero movies this year, but Thor: The Dark World was great. I might like it more than Iron Man 3, to be honest. I really enjoyed Thor: The Dark World, and thought it was a great sequel to Thor, and a great follow-up to the Avengers, more specifically to Thor and Loki's side of the story after the Avengers. So that's what I was really impressed with Thor: The Dark World. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get into a few other things I liked and did not like about the movie. Don't worry, don't get me wrong, the movie still did have a few flaws here and there, but overall I really did like it. So again, as I already mentioned, I'm not going to go over it again. I loved the performances, the new direction, the new director. The movie was definitely a lot funnier, which was great. The screenplay was excellent. It had me really surprised in a few scenes, especially with Loki's character and all the crazy things Loki does in this movie. I mean, that really just blew me away. I mean, Loki does a lot of crazy shit in the first Thor, but what he does in this movie just really impressed me, and I got to hand it to the script for that. So all that was great with this movie. Now, they did make those two improvements that I was looking for over the first film. They showed us a lot more of Asgard, which was what I was looking for. Literally, like in the first movie, they showed us, I don't know, a couple places in Asgard. We see a lot more of it in this film. We see more of its defenses. We see a party scene in Asgard, and I liked seeing more of Asgard in this movie. The visuals, of course, were great on Asgard, but overall, I liked seeing more of Asgard in Thor: The Dark World. And we also see more of the other 9. We see some of the other realms in the Thor universe, and that was cool to see as well. Moving on, guys, the score by Brian Tyler was pretty good. Another thing that I started to notice midway in the movie was the costume design. How well the costume design was, that was pretty good. A few other things. The action. As I said, they upped the action in this film a lot. There are a lot of breathtaking at times action sequences, especially about midway when Asgard is attacked. That scene really impressed me, and it was amazing. The visuals were really, really good in this film. Really impressed me, and I would love to see this movie get a couple of a visual nod at the Academy Awards this year. If it's left off the list, that would be really upsetting, because it honestly has some of the best visuals I've seen all year, in my opinion. The visuals were stunning. Really good work there. As I said, I loved the upped action. The post-credit scenes were great. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. Overall, I think they just improved on a lot over the first one, which is what I was looking forward to, and which is what really impressed me overall, and which is what won me over with this movie. And in the end, I just had a lot of fun watching it, whether it was seeing Loki's tricks on the screen, or seeing the humor, which was funny. I mean, all that, I really loved all that with Thor: The Dark World. Another thing to mention, the Thor and Jane relationship, that was great, seeing them reunite, that was all good and all that. And yeah, guys, so I enjoyed all of that with Thor: The Dark World. Now, just to give a couple little nitpicks and a few problems I had with the movie, there are a few plot elements or a few devices that the characters used in the film that I was like, I don't buy this. There were a few things with the story I thought were a little outrageous, and I just thought were, I don't know, a little odd to me. They were just strange. I'm not going to spoil it, but in the last scene in the movie, these characters are using these devices. I'm not going to explain what they are or spoil anything, but it just felt odd. It felt a little strange to me, and it felt just weird. I don't know. So there are a few little plot problems I had here and there, but overall the plot was strong. The humor in the beginning of the movie, like literally the first 30 minutes of the movie, there were a couple jokes that were cracked here and there. I just didn't find them funny. The humor really got better like midway until the end of the movie. It was consistently funny from midway on. But the beginning, the humor just wasn't that strong for me. It just wasn't really too funny. That was another thing I wanted to mention. And finally, the ending. I loved the ending of the movie. Don't get me wrong. The ending was awesome. It was shocking, of course. I didn't see it coming. But I hated the way they left one character's fate unknown. I have no clue what happens to this one character who I honestly cared a lot about, and that was just really a little upsetting for me, and I wanted to yell at the screen, are you really going to make me wait till the next Thor film to find out what happens to this one character? That just upset me a little bit. But other than that, guys, I really enjoyed Thor: The Dark World. Had a lot of fun watching it. The story, the humor, the action, the visuals, the performances, all that were great with this film. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend you guys check it out. And in the end, I think I'd like it better than the first Thor. They made those improvements, and in the end, that's probably why I'm going to say Thor: The Dark World is better than the first Thor. So that's it, guys. 8.5 out of 10 for me. I would definitely recommend you guys check it out. Guys, what did you think of the movie? Let me know down below in the comments. Did you like it? Did you think the first one was better, or do you like Thor: The Dark World more? Let me know down below. So thank you guys a lot for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the movie. I hope you guys enjoyed my review. Bye, guys.